Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special episode of the Neighborish Livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and you know it's a very special episode because not only are we back in our home, back in the Nubian Human and the Anacostia Arts Center in historic Anacostia, Southeast Washington, D.C. It feels good to be back. We got Anika Hobbs over there. You want to come say what's up? No, she never does. But and you know it's a special episode because my brother is back. The one and only Jay Son, the SC3 representative.
Thank you.
DC's native son.
Indeed.
Jay Son.
Good to be back.
And I know you're not tripping. It's definitely 7 o'clock in the evening. We're usually on at 11 in the morning, but we call this very special episode. Jay Son hit me up yesterday for a specific reason, and I'm gonna let him introduce our guests and talk about why we're here today. Take it away, Jay.
Okay, first off, before I get into the reason why we're here, I just want to acknowledge the guests that we have in the building this evening. We have the Ward 8 Councilman Trayon White in the building, and we also have Brother Malcolm, a.k.a. Ock from City Beats. Testing. Two very important institutions in our community. And with no further ado, I will get into the reason why we are having this special episode of the Neighborish Livecast. So a couple days ago, I forgot which day it was, Thursday or Friday, our councilman acknowledged a line of patrons outside of a business in the middle of a snowstorm and ice storm, standing in line for shoes. And in our community, historically, we've had an unhealthy obsession with material things in the midst of attempting to pull our way out of our struggle. And our councilman made some thoughts that were true, but they were contradictory in the sense of the context and how those thoughts were expressed. And, I'm not going to get into it because I want everybody to speak for themselves, but our councilman's words caused some controversy. And the reason being the words and thoughts that were expressed were aesthetically in front of one of our strongest institutions in our community, a Black-owned business who not only owns the business, but owns the building and has provided a service for our community for almost 2 decades. And so it caused a conversation in our community that I felt was exposing negative narratives. And both of these men are vital, important, essential elements of me and my family's life. And so once I saw that there was negative narratives on both sides, I took it upon myself to contact each individual brother and express my desire to have a sit down and get to the root of the discussion, because I know them individually, I know them personally, and I know that it wasn't what the audience was making it out to be. It wasn't as deep as everybody made it, and I felt that it was kind of tail spinning out of control. So we met yesterday like men, and we expressed our thoughts, ideas, and expressed not only how to address the issue, but also how to move forward positively, and continuing both of these brothers to be beacons of light in our community. So with that said, before I let Brother Ock from City Beats speak, I want to give the floor to our Councilman Trayon White.
Let me scoot up. So first of all, I want to thank you, Jay and Dave, for having us here today, and also Malcolm. And I think that I thank you for extending the olive branch during a controversial time, especially with online platforms. I think that we have to do that more, even when there's contention or conversation or disagreement in our community. I know as men, the first thing we think or hear or is portrayed among our younger brethren is physical, right? And there's more than one way to have a disagreement. I think this is a way in which we can have healthy dialogue, even if we disagree or agree, or either or, and I think that we have to encourage what we want to see more of. But on the content of the message, if you want me to go into that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so I guess a couple of days ago, it was abrupt. I was riding up MLK in the morning. It was snowing. And I saw people standing out. And I ain't gonna lie, it triggered something inside of me. And I was like, man, I know we ain't still doing this. And that was my initial thought. And I recorded it. And I talked about, I guess in my comments, about how we are in a difficult place as a people in this community. With the literacy rates going down, as far as literacy rates going up, and we are in a place where we've seen in the last, even right here on this corner, in the last 4 weeks, we've seen the shootings and homicides of not just people, but black and brown boys and women. 2 15-year-olds, a baby, 8-year-old baby around the corner, a young lady. It's been, you know the narrative, and so I felt like I wanted to express how I felt about it, and I do want to say that it may not have been the best way to express it because I am a political figure. I do have a public platform. I do reach tens of thousands of people when I express what I think and feel. But at the same time, I like to create a dialogue of people who may not agree. And, it's not all the times healthy, but we can turn it into something healthy, which brings us here today. And I guess my thoughts was, man, people outside still in line. I had no idea at the time what type of shoe they was buying. I knew City Beats sells shoes. I did give me a hat from it the other day, so they still has too. Shout out to City Beats. And I was just like, man, come on, we got to do better economically. And then I heard that, and I was like, well, I can't just talk about the price. And I always use we or our, and when I say, because I feel like I'm a part of the same narrative at times. And I know me personally, I'm in a place of growth, and I think we all are in our own space and time. That's why I use our and we. And I expressed that, and it got some positive feedback and some negative feedback, and which I can take it. But it's about how I respond to it and grow from it and use that as a teaching tool for the community. And I think at the end of it, I put a link on. I went and copied the link and put on something on there about stock or something like that. It wasn't an intention to help me enrich myself with stock. That's what some people were trying to say. But it was just trying to say, if not this, what else we could be doing with those resources. Then I learned about, those who flip shoes, and I did research on that, and those who take the shoes and sell them for almost $200 to $500 more than its value. And I let Brother Malcolm speak to that. But it was good for me to come meet you at City Beats yesterday with Brother Malcolm and just have some dialogue about how I felt in my convictions, and which I stand by, but also able to hear from another perspective, be able to accept that as well. And I think that is what we need to do more of in this community, instead of, going back and forth through social media, or some leads to shootings, stabbings, fights. We've seen those things take out of proportion, especially with this generation. This is a social media generation. It's been a lot of it has been good, and a lot of it been bad. And so I'll digress with that. But I want to thank you, Jay, for having us here today.
Yeah, no doubt. And, after your remarks, there was a reply with a lot of education, and, because a lot of people had the same thoughts you did, including myself. But after speaking with Brother Malcolm, he also had valid points, and I'd like for him to elaborate on his position on the incident.
First of all, thank you, Jay, for having me here today.
No doubt.
And let me say this right here first to all my people out there. I love this brother right here, so don't ever get it twisted, because I express myself a certain type of way that I don't love the next black man. Those out there that know me, first of all, I have a sense of humor. Some people understand it, some people don't. But this is a good brother right here. We got the right man in the right position, and I love it. It was a time in my life he was there for me, and it was a time in his life I was there for him. It goes without words sometimes that we do things for brothers or sisters, and we never even tell them, how we were there for them. And that's how it should be done. When my good brother, no problem, when my good brother did the drive-by speaking, he hit a lot of people with it. And First of all, before we can go forward with financial education and freedom, we have to love each other. That's number one. Regardless of what we're doing, how we're doing it, we gotta love each other and cover each other's faults. That's what makes us brothers and sisters. Now, he didn't know, but I knew because I deal with these people each and every week. I know the movers and the shakers, I know the shoe heads, and I know the parents, I know the kids, I know the sisters, the brothers, the aunts, the nieces that are out there. We got the week. It's big business. And I'm gonna tell you, it is really big business. So, I have one client, he told me at least I have $100,000 worth of shoes. That's his inventory. He's 23 years old. And when he told me that, I was in awe, because for you to gain that much inventory and also be able to flip it. And these are cats, and I commend them because, you know, a lot of these cats didn't go to college, and some of these cats are in college. As a matter of fact, I had another client, he just bought a condominium, and he's actually in dental school now. How is he doing it? He flipping shoes. So, I think, and I was talking to Trey yesterday, and these are some things that we're not aware of. And I used to be in the stock market myself, and that's how I actually paid for CDs. Is because I know I've been incarcerated. When I was incarcerated, you know, I learned about the stock market, and I had my lawyers, you know, do certain things for me, buy certain stocks for me, and invest in certain things. And to be a good businessman, you have to know one thing. Things are constantly evolving and changing. If you're a little older right now, you can remember when you used to go to a video store and pick up a movie. That's insane right now, to even think about that.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, blockbusters. You know what I mean? And they're gonna hit you with a they're gonna hit you with a fee if you're late.
Right,
you know what I mean? Come on, man. So younger kids out here don't understand that, but you know, to be in this game and be a businessman, I have to see you recognize certain things. We all should see you recognize certain things. Like even when I was in the stock, I was holding stock. I was a bear. I was, you know, meaning that I hold stock until they increase in value. So when I was being a bear and holding stock, you know, I held these stocks for years until they increased, and then I sold them. You know, you got bulls and bears in the market. But if you're an amateur, you know, you can't be out there flipping stock so fast because you're going to lose yourself, lose all your money. So we're going back to the shoes. So with the shoes, I've never in my life seen a product that you can buy and increase in value so fast. And I recently, I'm going to say 2 years ago, when I kept noticing all these kids coming in, I'm like, yo, why they keep buying these shoes like that? I had to research myself, and I'm in the shoe game. And I really started to figure out, man, it's more and more. This is $1 billion business. And StockX is a place where they actually buy and sell shoes. And when the comment, when Trey made the comment, I was kind of drawn back. Is because the person that owns StockX is actually the owner of Quicken Loans. He's also the owner of the Cavaliers, the basketball team. So you have a Caucasian seeing the value of trading shoes. That in 3 years, that business became $1 billion business. In 3 years. So we have to look at everything that we're doing out here in a positive way. And as I express myself, these kids or people, women and men, man, they not on the corner slinging no drugs. You know, they weren't, you know, standing from a liquor store or, you know, doing anything negative. And even the people that weren't, buying his shoes and flip it, you have to understand too that if you like something and you earn the money to buy it, it's a freedom. The freedom that you should have and that's given to us, not to be ridiculed for doing something that is harmless to you and your community. And I also love all the cultures and commend them because, you know, when I went to institutions to even buy the building, I went to the bank and I was dealing with a Caucasian, and first thing he said to me is this right here, is how did you get a shoe account? Because even he know that getting shoe accounts is one of the rarest things you can get. And I want to tell you guys like this. It's one of the men that I know on the East Coast that has a Jordan account. And that's Marcus Jordan. So, and that's Jordan's son. So, it's not easy. And it took me almost 6 years to start dealing with Nike after dealing with New Balance. Well, I'm going to say 3 years. And I want to commend New Balance for actually helping me get started. And I want to commend Nike because during this pandemic, they actually gave me money from them to pay them. So, you know, basically they gave me credit and said use the credit to pay us. So, you know, companies like that work in our community, want to deal with us, we have to support. Brands like Brand Jordan, I know some people say some negative things about Jordan as a man, but I want to say this, he's never shamed us as a people. You know, he always opened the doorways for us, and I mean by the doorways, basically saved the NBA, and without saving the NBA, there'd be no jobs or basketball jobs or making the money, type of money these young athletes make now. It's because of brothers like him. The only black person that owns a professional basketball team, making more jobs for us. I sell his product, he's making more jobs. He helps feed my family. So we have to understand that we're black men, black women, and every opportunity, let's give us the opportunity to raise us up and not tear us down. So, with that said, this is my brother, and I'm raising him up. You know, when it happened, I actually responded, and I wrote something. And the funny thing is, everybody kind of went over my response, my written response, and actually went off what I said. You know, and when I said it, it was more so as a diversion for other things, but I'm not going to really get into it. I want you guys to sit right here and look at me and this man right here. And one thing he told me yesterday is like, you know, all these shootings in Washington, D.C., and he's always there for the people, for the parents, for the kids, whatever. And I want you to look at our situation because I'm an old school guy, older than my man Trey. And at the end of the day, we brothers, we love each other. And you say, you said I was joking, I was just having fun with it. The reason I was having fun, I want you to sit back and think to yourself right here. I ain't gonna look for him. I ain't knock on this man's door. I ain't threaten him. None of that. I played the dozens. He here today, I'm here today, we laughing, we loving each other. And that's what we need to do, man. It's you guys out there, you know, it's other ways to handle that. And first of all, it wasn't even any beef. You know, I thought the response was going to be, he was going to join back for real, like, honestly. And because, you know, this is city, this is how we are, this is how we was raised, you know what I'm saying? We're raised, you know what I mean? If we do have any type of different conflict of interest, we handle it a different way. In all the posts I read, nobody put up there, non-violence, nothing. You know, nothing about it wasn't any violence. Nobody posted nothing like that. Like, you know, that's what we got to get at. Is, man, listen, you can have disagreements. You know, you can talk about it. verbally. You can write it down, but at the end of the day, son, but we love each other, man. We honestly care for each other. And like I told him, it's no man that I want to see in his position but him. And we need to always think about that, man. Let's raise each other up, man, in every situation, man. Every situation.
Respect. Yeah, I agree. But I would be, well, I got to keep it all the way 100. You know,
you was about to say I would be remiss.
Yeah. But I had to think about the audience. I was like, hey, what the fuck is this nigga talking about? I would be remiss. Like, let me just use some regular words. But yes, that's what I was going to say.
I heard it.
But before, I want to, because there are a lot of people, in all of our circles who have a deeper, have a deeper questioning of the motives of Trey's comments. And and we all discussed it yesterday when we sat down, like, man, and we all agreed that there's a deeper root dealing with materialism and our somewhat addiction to things and and people and all types of things that aren't conducive to our liberation at the end of the day. But before, so I just want to know your thoughts on the whole situation, Dave. And because, when I told you about it, you seem to have a real emotional, response to it. And, just me telling you the situation. And I value your opinion. And, because we're always solution based. Like, that's the root of this show. The root of this show isn't to come on here and talk and to be seen. The reason, when we at the foundation of the show, it's like, well, if we're going to be doing this, we want to be able to solve problems, not just to be on somebody's screen. So I'm curious to know your thoughts about the whole scenario.
Okay, well, thank you for, putting me on the spot. I appreciate it. So yeah, when you called me yesterday and told me about the situation, when you initially explained it to me, we had a conversation and my initial reaction was, I hear what Trey is saying, definitely, but then going back through the situation, I actually went back and read the post and read what you wrote. That, like you said, and I noticed a lot of people overlooked that and focused on, the video, but I noticed Trey read it, because he responded to that. And so, understanding that whole standpoint of it, that's a whole nother, just a whole nother area that, like, a lot of people don't understand about the flipping the shoes, about how this is people's livelihood. So from that aspect of it, this is not them, being out there for just materialism, but they're out there doing their job. They're making their money. And so that's an aspect of it that kind of opened up another avenue for me. And so I can see both sides of the point. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong in this situation. I think that the opinions are strong. Like I said, I definitely understand Trey's point. And it's true about materialism and people's focus on it and how, sometimes it can have negative effects on us. And I definitely understand that. But like I said, it's Brother Ox's point. I understood it better researching and reading what he was saying and understanding his point of view of it. So that's all right. I don't know if that...
Thank you, Dave. That was good. But now before I open it up to the brothers themselves, that was pretty good, Dave. It's pretty PC.
Yeah,
but, I guess in our discussion yesterday, I was like, well, at the root of it, there's a short-term goal and there's a long-term goal. Meaning that if Brother Malcolm wasn't there, those people would be in those lines somewhere else in somebody else's community, right, giving somebody else money to feed their family and make connections with their community. So short-term, because we have the long-term goal is to dig deep and deal with these connections to institutions that don't necessarily benefit us for the overall long goal. And, so I'm like, well, but right now we're in this moment now. So I'm like, well, because, City Beats provides, basically all of my shoes for me and my children, and, and clothing and everything. And the reason we've become so close is because he knows I only shop at black-owned businesses. So if he didn't exist, I would be wearing shoes from the dollar store, or, whoever, So I'm glad that he got, fresh
fly gear in my community, I'll have to go to Tyson's Corner or Georgetown, or so it's like I view him as an institution that is providing a service for our community, because at this point we're at in 2021, this is what we do. We fly. We get Jordans. We wear Nike sweatsuits and hoodies, and you know what I'm saying? That's what we do. Now, long term, I think we need to address that, but that comes through the education system and the media and program directors at radio stations and television. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't at that level. So at this level where we at, he might as well get our hearts and souls and our blood, sweat, and tears and our money, because we know he's there for us. But that doesn't condone or justify our disabling addiction to these institutions that are not helping our struggle at all. So now I just open it up to both of y'all for y'all thoughts and expressions and opinions.
I think that's a good point, Jay. And I just wanted to note, I was just doing some research, and I saw that about in 2019, we, as an African American community, we had about $1.4 billion. I'm sorry, $1.4 trillion in spending power. And while we talk about there's always the narrative that the dollar leaves the community, the black dollar leaves the community. I think that is one of the things I also recognize in this narrative, that it also stays in this community, because while people contacted you, people contacted me, saying, man, Trey, I shopped there, or this brother helped my family when I was locked up, and those type of things are equally as important. And I see that as a city councilman, I see the different projects that's in the pipeline for Ward 8. And we on Good Hope Road right now, so from Good Hope Road and MLK to Anacostia Station, there's going to be $1 billion spent on this block in the next 3 years, right? And then you go back and the creases and crevices of the community, we have community infighting about different neighborhoods and blocks, not knowing that if you take 160 steps that way, it's development deals going on. None of these people live in our community. And I think that that narrative has to be talked about in this conversation as well. And I look at the black-owned businesses in Washington, D.C. Black-owned businesses make up 28% of the businesses in Washington, D.C. That's number one in the country, behind Atlanta. And behind that is Maryland.
Can we claim Black Wall Street? No, we ain't there yet.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because, part of when I got in office, I'm a business major by degree.
I know.
And I want to say, Jay knows since I was, right. I want to say since I was little, but I ain't gonna say
Then Brother Malcolm will start joking again.
But Jay's known for a while. and I do know that what I see in this community is that we need to empower our businesses. And I do want to say, even though this pandemic, I've seen more black startup companies ever I've seen in my life. Right? And I think that we have to note that. And I've seen how people are starting now to support each other through social media, through our buying power, through cash out businesses, doing pop-up shops. I remember I was on Pennsylvania Avenue during the hotter days, and they did a publishing about 40 businesses came out there. And I think that it was a good opportunity to share our dollar in the community. And I started a thing when I was on the council called the Dream Grants, which was able to leverage government tax dollars to put into smaller businesses, because some of our businesses fail because, like Mama was saying, he goes to the bank and can't get any money to get his business up and running. And so that's true for a lot of people with a lot of great ideas that can't get up and going because we haven't figured out how to get access to capital and to keep the business going. And so I think that I want to let this gentleman, City Council, with a $17 billion budget every year, and we've done that by doing micro grants, and that's still a drop in the bucket when we talk about the resources we got to give to these large corporations, these incentives. And people are down on people that's on welfare, on public assistance, that's on public housing. They say God giving those people something. No, we give more money to these big businesses. And that dollars is going back to Virginia, Indianapolis, Florida, New York. And we don't see those dollars come back to the community. So we're trying to change the trajectory on that as well.
Indeed. Brother Malcolm, so what are your thoughts on on that whole circulation of the black dollar in the black community?
Well, I just want us to take responsibility for ourselves. So many times in life, you know, we just have our hands out and asking, we need help, we need help, we need help. And, you know, growing up, having so many doors slammed in my face, it made me like a little bit independent. And when I speak to people about business, I always ask them one question. If you had one word to describe yourself, what is it? And what word describes me is relentless. Everything I do, I'm going to keep going, and going. And I'm going to tell you, Jay, if you see me in a fight with a bear,
Bet on you.
no. Throw honey on me. Right? That's a bear gonna need motivation. You know, help the bear. Alright, but I want all black people out there to do this for me. And we talking about business and black business. Within a 10-mile radius, I want you to write the things that you desire, you want, or you need. And then research and see how many black businesses around you sell those products. If you can't find those products, start that business.
Hey, that's a good segue because you know, I ain't trying to hold people too long, but that's a good segue because I was going to be like, I wanted everybody on the panel to kind of give their thoughts and ideas of, because we talked about the short term, which is like we still in the mix right now. We still got this obsession with Jordans and shoes, and it's not a negative thing. It's just it's our ancestral tie to being fly. You know, we always been that way. So we, you know,
let me say this.
Yeah.
My perspective is a little different.
Okay.
Because I had an obsession with shoes for a long time, mostly through middle school. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was a self-esteem issue for me. I felt like
but as you grew up, you left that behind.
Yes, but I'm talking about during that time. I went to PR Hers, man. There you go. So I went to PR Hers. It used to be called Friendship, and we used to have East over there. I used to hop the gate at lunchtime and go buy some shoes and put my shoes on at lunchtime and go throughout the school throughout the day. So when I looked in my locker, I had nothing but shoes and not one book. But shoes, because it made me feel good.
No, I understand.
I ain't gonna lie, It made me feel good. I was mad when my mother and grandmother sent me to the same school as my sister, because when I went to school without her, people thought I had 2 pairs of shoes. When I went to school with her, I couldn't wear her shoes anymore. People know I had her shoes on. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy. And I felt good when I was and I ain't gonna lie, some of the best clothes I got was when some of my cousins got locked up. I got some Salviato, some Nico Balls, some Hobo, some Madness. You know, I was real. All this stuff was baggy. I didn't even care what size it was. We was joking yesterday, and we was at the event, and I was asking people, "You remember Mayday? Mayday in school?
Oh yeah,
Mayday, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to wear red and white." Mm-hmm. And I remember one time I wasn't going to go to school because I didn't have no fresh clothes, and I wore my stepfather's shoes to school. He wore like a size 10. You got to think about it. I'm 4'3". Man, guess what type of shoes they was, Jay? K-Swiss.
Oh, them extra boots.
Man, I had a time. You know, I played football that I was going to Henley Elementary School. I looked crazy, but I felt good because I had some fresh gear on. I wasn't going to school unless I was fresh.
Yeah, but that leads to what I'm talking about. Like our obsession. Like I've done. You know, I think. Well, I can't speak for everybody. I know I've worn 2 small shoes because they was expensive and I ain't care, and I knew they would get me attention. And you know, I've done stuff in the street that we ain't gonna speak of, but for fashion things, for a Sergio Tacchini sweatsuit or what have you, and so I guess it is to my point. You were saying you kind of disagree, but what I'm saying is it's kind of like the same thing. We have this obsession to fashion and shoes because it is tied to our self-esteem and our value of ourselves. And that's absolutely wrong. But it is what it is. That's why I think with a council of men and women in our community, it's like we can address, like, this is where we are. But what would be the most beneficial place for us to be? And that's what I was segueing into, because the same people right now that's 13, 14 are where you were when you was at PR Harris. And I know it because, I've been in the school system because I've seen you several times come through. And so it's like, I know that's what's on their mind because we talk about it in depth. Like, it's not like a vague conversation. Like, we have in-depth conversations about what makes our people tick, because I feel the answer and the solutions to all of the questions we have about our community lies in the schools. That's where our answers are. That's where the solutions are.
Can you expound on that, Jay? What that mean?
Absolutely. Because in my 20 plus odd years in and out dealing with DCPS, I've seen a brilliance that I've never seen before anywhere else on the planet in any other form. I've seen God. I've seen miracles. I've seen, supernatural beings in the hallways of DCPS public school system. And I was like, oh, this is the answer to everything that everybody.
Hold up, Jay.
Nah, go ahead.
Nah, you say you seen God. How he look?
Well, he looks in the form of us, like it's various forms, but in the form of black men and black women, I've seen it, and that's subjective to me. But the question was to me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's what everybody should believe. I'm not even saying that people should believe what I'm saying. The question was like, what have I seen? And that is what I feel I've experienced through dealing with young people in our city, in our community, on an intimate level for over 20 years. I have seen the answers to our problems, but it's misguided and misdirected. So that will become the segue to my last and final question as to what are the suggestions long term, to still, I guess, propel black businesses and black entrepreneurship in a way to make money for ourselves, but also that long term contradiction of our, addiction per se, that's tied into our self-esteem and, our value with these material things. Like, what can we do moving forward? And I want to start with Dave, because I haven't heard from Dave, and then it'll come down the line. So after Dave,
Chilling, man. I'm just
Super Dave.
I'm sorry. You're right. My bad.
No problem, good brother. I see your greatness when I close my eyes. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, man, I definitely agree that it lies in the hearts and minds of the young people. And as for the businesses, I just think more leaning toward and more moving toward the business model that Brother Ark has set up, where the money is funneling into the community through something that we're, that we need, but people need clothes, people need, services, like you were saying about finding something that's a necessity, and if it's not, there, build upon that. And I think that's one of the answers, because going back to what Trey was saying, we need capital. That's the bottom line, is to move a community forward. One of the things that's essential is capital, and that's not always necessarily money per se, but just, equity, the ability to, deal and move and things of that nature. So, and I think that starts with us bringing the money to ourselves. And like Jay, like you were saying, not going out to, Annapolis or wherever you're going to the malls to get it, but funneling it back through the community. So that's paramount. I think one of the most important things, beyond like the idea of working with the mindset, of the young, which starts in the schools. So, but yeah, that capital, and that's the way to do it, is to get more of the businesses. So, Trey, you said what, 28%?
Yep.
In DC, so we get to 50% and something like that. That's
start making some moves.
Yeah. So that's my contribution. I ain't saying nothing else,
Thank
man.
you, Super Dave.
Gentlemen. So
but Brother Malcolm, you already said something that was extraordinary about the 10-mile radius joint. But if you want to expand it, because that's kind of like super solution based right there, like crazy.
Well, first of all, I just want to let the people know that Trayon has loans for everybody. If you need it, contact him. Go to him, DM him.
His inbox is
loans you gotta pay back. You gotta pay loans back.
Just tell him that you need it, and he said he got you.
They said, Boosie said, leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
But seriously, I want to definitely put. I don't have the money, but I got the services, and what I mean by that, I got some knowledge. So, if Brother Jay and Super Dave will have me and Trayon back, and we can discuss this on a weekly basis, you know, on about financial education, about business, you know, about building our community. So, you know, people come to the beach all the time and actually come in and discuss business with me, and I don't mind talking with them. Don't come to my store tomorrow. Don't do it.
We're gonna have a line tomorrow. So we're gonna be riding around. Oh, look at this line going in the city beach.
Are they out there for the Jordans? No, they ain't out there for information. All right, but honestly, you know, since Saturday, I actually talked to 4 people about business and the ideas I had, you know, young entrepreneurs. And this is a platform, and Jay has been trying to get me down here for 5 years, Jay.
Yeah, that's
my first time.
Where are we, Jay? Tell them where we are.
Oh yeah, we downtown historic Anacostia, inside the Anacostia Art Center. Nubian Human.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Black owned, black woman owned.
Black woman, beautiful black woman.
Everything in here.
Matter of fact, she's a beautiful black woman.
Indeed.
I'm gonna try again. Anika, you gonna come over here?
Put your face over here.
He's in the building. He's in the building.
If you know me, you know me.
Stay away, nigga. Don't come over here. Stay over there.
I'm trying to tell you. But you know, as I was saying about, you know, talking to, you know, young people, old people, it doesn't matter. We all need help and advice. I got my door open, and we're gonna do it together. So, like I said, it took me 5 years to get down here in this spot, and it's a beautiful spot. And Jay was like, "Oh man, come! It's about time you come down here." I get here, the man has no hors d'oeuvres. No food.
That was on nothing. Trey called me.
See, I knew what it was, right? I'm a black man. I'm hungry. Slim, come on, man. You got me down here for free.
I tried to do the joint at the beach
with no food.
Trey was the one like, nah, we gonna do it down good.
You already had the platform.
That's fine.
But I ain't got no hors d'oeuvres platform.
Jay, when you come over the house, all I'm saying, bring your own water.
That's you got water. You got water right here.
Listen, bring your own food. I don't have anything in my house for you. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right,
I do want to give a shameless plug. On March the 4th at 6 p.m., we are going to do a Ward 8 financial investment seminar on social media. It's going to be on my social media platforms. I pretty much share it with you guys. And we do stuff like this periodically. We just did one on home buying and home equity, explaining the power of the dollar. Instead of taking your money, dumping it in an apartment, and somebody else is getting that money and getting equity off that building, you can own your own property. We just did one last week about nonprofits, empowering nonprofits to get more acclimated in the city. A lot of nonprofits pretty much closed down and went out of business or stopped doing what they were doing, but the people are still here needing the service more now than ever. And so we've been doing a series of those through social media platforms. Being as though it's COVID, you can't have a lot of people in the space. We've been still keeping that information going. There's a few grants that's out. I'll put on my social media tomorrow for those aspiring nonprofits or businesses that want to take advantage of community-based resources. So March the 4th at 6 p.m., we'll be on my Zoom and Facebook platform talking about investments, financial literacy, and what you need to do more inside the school.
Indeed.
Inside the home.
Indeed.
As young as babies, we need to start teaching our babies as early as possible about financial literacy and how to expand our dollar and make it grow. So,
Indeed. And lastly, I just want to commend both of you brothers, Brother Malcolm and Brother Trayon, for taking this situation and making it into something positive, because the social media narrative was kind of getting out of hand, and people was tending to like pick sides. And I appreciate you both being open to my invitation to come and sit down and meet. That takes a lot of character as men, and is much appreciated, not just by myself but by the rest of the community, because y'all both are very strong pillars in this community that are essential. Y'all are very necessary, both of you, and it's very much appreciated. Also, like to thank you, Dave, for setting this up last minute. And realizing the importance that the community sees.
Because I was definitely like, nah. He called me last night at work, and then when he told me the situation. But I do want to real quick before we wrap up, I want to ask you guys. First of all, seeing like the response that the back and forth got. First of all, there's a lot of people that ride for both of y'all hard.
Right.
Southeast, man.
Hard.
With the F.
But is there anything specific that you want to say to those people?
I do, man. I think that one of the things I was going to post and just leave it like that was going to say unity or non-existence. Mm-hmm. And we're in a unique time and space. We can't afford to be divided in the city. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that our population is shrinking drastically. Like this used to be Chocolate City, almost 80% African American, and now we are less than 47%. And the census is being done in 2020. We get those results, and so we and it sounds cliches, but we're stronger together. And so when I saw the response, because when I did the video, I wasn't really thinking City Beats, and it caused my like, damn, that is a black-owned business. I think I mentioned that, and I tried to focus on the narrative in which I was trying to get across, and people still took it to City Beats, and I think that it allowed me to dial back and say, hold on, man, I don't want to damage another black man's business, right? Or any person's for that matter, but specifically somebody I know, and I think that narrative needs to be explained, that we can sit down as brethren and talk and agree and joke and joan, and at the end of the day, we still go home to our families, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And anything specific you want to say to the people?
Vote Trayon. Yo, he said he's gonna pay me to say that. So. I had to do what I had to do, man. Hey, remember the dude ran across the Super Bowl naked?
Yeah.
And told on himself? Mm-hmm. Don't do that. don't.
That's your message for the people. Okay.
Don't ever tell on yourself, man. They asked you, was it you? Say it might have been you. I don't know.
I would admit it, right?
Go ahead and take us home, Dave.
All right, man. So, on behalf of myself, Super Dave, a.k.a. Mr. Incredible,
Super.
On behalf of DC's native son, the SE3 representative, Jay Son, and our two esteemed guests, the brother Ark and Trayon White, we want to thank you guys for checking out this very special episode of the Neighborish Livecast, man. We coming together in the spirit of unity and brotherhood. It's so necessary, and I'm so glad that this has happened. Thank you guys so much for checking it out and rocking with us. We'll be back next Monday, 11 a.m., like we always do. I'm going to get Brother Ark on the show. We got to get Trayon back on there.
Without food, you won't see us. I need a sandwich, Subway, something.
I got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you, bro. But yeah, we're gonna get Jay back in there too.
I don't know about Jay, but
he's
I made it back tonight.
He's focused on his music career right now. He's on his
doing well.
I was about to say he's on his Kanye West.
He was doing some modeling at one point, walking around with a shirt on.
Hey man.
The baby oil.
Hey man.
Slow motion.
Man, wrap the show up, Dave. Come on.
No, go ahead. Hey man, y'all be safe. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other. It's always love. Peace.
Peace.